So, welcome to Bestseller Launch Secrets. 3 things your book launch needs, and the one thing that will tank your launch. I'm your host, Kim Galloway. I am your best-selling book strategist. And I'm so glad that you are here today. This is so awesome. So, you are absolutely in the right place if you want to have a best-selling book and you're not sure how, or if you're not sure if it's worth it. We are absolutely going to be going over some of these hows, making sure you understand it is 100% worth it. Now, this training, so you can self-select and know how you fit into like the little boxes, right? This training is for anybody who is just about to be published or has recently published. And I use recently published saying like in the last 6 months. That's recent. This is for you if your book has been out for a while and you kind of feel like you're not getting any traction. You're really not getting the sales that you want. And this is definitely for you if you're still in the writing process and you need to see what the end looks like. Like where am I going? Where does this end? That is always me. Like, I am not one of those people who's like, let's build the plane as we fly it. Oh, no, nope. I need to know where the seats are, where's the luggage compartment, how does this thing work? So you are 100% in the right place. And today I'm really here to show you how you can have a bestseller, how this is possible, and why you deserve it. And if you have not grabbed a pen and paper yet, I'm going to tell you one more time that you need to do that because I'm going to go over what we're covering, AKA the bullets that were on the page where you registered, the opt-in page, and I way add a lot. Like I did a dry run of this yesterday. There's a lot of stuff that I'm going to be telling you that isn't in the promised bullets, and you are going to want to be taking notes. So here's what we're covering today. So in order to have a bestseller, you have to have a big following, right? Wrong. Wrong. You can totally have a bestseller if you have a tiny list or even no list at all. I'm going to tell you what to never ever do during your book launch and why, because if you do this, your book will absolutely struggle. How to do this one thing and you can double your success and double your sales during your launch. The truth about your book launch pricing. The truth about your book launch pricing. And this one's going to blow your mind. When I talk about this one, people are like, wow, okay. And then what to never forget. If you leave this piece out, you're going to be leaving sales on the table and not climbing that bestseller chart. And then, so we're totally transparent, I will absolutely be inviting you to enroll in my course, Best-Selling Book Launch, Launch Like a Boss, to get all of the whys and hows and deeper behind what we're going to be sharing today. So if you are new to me, I want to give you like my 60-second intro. Okay, so somebody time me. I don't do like, let me talk about myself for the first 20 minutes. Oh, for heaven's sakes, nobody's got time for that, right? Let's get into the good stuff. So I am a best-selling author. I have over 20 books of my own that I've written and published, and I have a degree in creative writing from the University of Arizona. Now, when I say I'm a best-selling author, that is not just in various little multiple categories, although it is that too. But I have also had a book that has hit number 4 on the Amazon bestseller list out of all the books that Amazon sells. I've had a book hit number 4 on the bestsellers list out of all the paid books on Amazon. I'm going to be teaching you my proven system. This works for fiction and nonfiction. And it works whether your book is brand new out or if it's been out for months or even years. I'm also a mom of 4. I'm also a mom of four. So they are 7, 4, 2, and 9 months. 9 months is taking a nap, and the others are outside playing with strict instructions to leave us alone for about the next hour. Might go a little bit longer. Can't go much longer than that because I live in the deserts of New Mexico. And while we got some lovely rain last night, it is warm and my air conditioner is off. And it will get hot in this little room quickly. So this is not going to be a take forever event, okay? So we're going to be using chat to interact. I have a whole bunch of stickies in my notes that's like, have them put this in chat. So right now, if you have not done it yet, pop into chat where you are coming from, where you're coming from, and where are you at in the writing process? So are you just writing? So that was like a 60-second intro, right? Pretty quick. Are you just writing? Are you almost published? Are you just published, like within the last 6 months, or it's been out for a while? So where are you from? And then where are you at in the process? So we've got California, Mavis is just writing, Amber from Atlanta, published. Whoa, look at how fast that's going. Okay, so published multiple times, just published, releasing, now writing, ready to publish. 12 books, awesome. Coming back, VA, New Jersey, Manchester, writing, Hawaii, hi. Awesome. Awesome, good job, guys. Alaska, okay. So what this is doing is this is just helping me kind of, since we're live, right? Like, and I can make little adjustments on the fly. So this is your last chance. This is your last chance to grab that pen and paper. Let me ask you, I'm going to tell you this. What is a launch? In general, like what is a launch? It's creating hunger and desire to buy the thing. Creating hunger and desire to buy the thing. And in our case, it's a book. Creating hunger and desire to buy the thing. And in our case, it's a book. So your book launch is to create hunger and desire to buy the book. Already looking at this from super simple. Having a bestseller is a really simple sales formula. The most amount of books sold in the least amount of time. It's the most amount of books sold in the least amount of time. Hold on to that, okay? Because that is going to be key. So now we know what a launch is, creating hunger and desire. Most amount of books sold in the least amount of time to create a best-selling book. Now let's talk about what you should never do during your launch. You should never have a long launch sales period. Never have a long launch sales period. There are gurus out there that are teaching like a whole week or even 5 days or even 3 days. It is too hard to maintain sales momentum during a long launch period. Everybody wears out. And I think that even having a launch that is like a day is too long. Because remember, that launch is creating hunger and desire to buy the thing. Guys, that's energy. You are in charge of creating that energy. It's really difficult to sustain that for days or for even a day. I just wrapped up last week a 5-day challenge. It was exhausting creating all of that energy for the awesome people who were in that challenge. And I know a lot of you here were in that too. You want most amount of sales in the least amount of time, short. And to have one of these protracted, really long sales drive to bestseller, that's almost impossible without a giant list. It's almost impossible without a giant list. And we're going to talk about list in just a little bit later. So I'm going to show you my proven system to have a bestseller that uses write this down because this is key, a virtual book launch party. And that virtual book launch party is about 60 to 90 minutes long because we're going to push sales into that. Most amount of sales, least amount of time. It's a lot of fun because it's a party and it's virtual. So that means that your people, just like this one, can be anywhere. And there are some of you who stopped listening when I said virtual and 90 minutes. You stopped and you're like, what do I do for an hour and a half? And you are hyperventilating over there. So if that is you, if you're panicking, type into chat, and we're gonna reduce this stress right away. So if you are going, oh my God, this sounds horrible, what do I do? And you're panicking, type eek into the chat. Uh-huh. I know you guys. This is a new training. I've been doing this for a whole bunch of time. Yeah. Okay. So in my course, Best-Selling Book Launch, Launch Like a Boss, I give you a schedule and kind of an outline of what to do and say. Do this, don't do that. It is not a minute-by-minute script. It is not a minute-by-minute script. So that was just bullet number 2. And Ginger, Judy, we're going to cover this. We're going to cover this because it's a virtual book launch party. Y'all invite people to your parties, right? Like you don't just have a party without inviting. So we're going to cover this. Okay, we're going to cover this. No worries. Really good question. So if a bestseller is the most amount of books in the least amount of time, that means you have to have buyers, right? Yes, you have to have buyers. Now you're probably thinking, but Kim, I have a tiny list, or I have no list at all. And I know that there are some folks out there who are going, what's a list? What's a list? So hop into chat because it's fine. It's fine. We're going to talk about your email list, and it doesn't matter what size or not size it is. But so I can kind of try to get like a little bit of an idea. I just want 3 little buckets. My list is under 150. My list is over 150. And I have no list. So that's it. That's all I need. No list, over 150, under 150. Do not include social in this. Do not include social media. Your email list. Only your email list. So we're pretty balanced there. So I'm going to tell you a story. I tell lots of stories in my training because, you know, I'm a writer. I'm an author, and just like you guys, we tell a lot of stories. So I want to tell you about a story about one of my authors, Nancy Whitman Klotz, and she had no list. She had no list whatsoever. But what she had was a yoga studio. And so she actually started to create her list, pen and paper, by passing around a clipboard after every single class. And you know what? It wasn't even her studio. She just taught there. And she started doing that in the 2 to 3 months before her book launch. So she started creating her list. And the really interesting thing about Nancy's book and the list she was creating was that she was collecting all of her yoga students, but her book wasn't about yoga. It was called Women Supporting Women. And so it was about women in community. So it wasn't a perfect one-to-one match. But here's what Nancy did. So ahead of this book launch, ahead of her virtual book launch party, she started collecting her email list and she used it. She used it. She started sending out a weekly email with just like a little tip and a tease that her book was coming out. You need to be using your email list. So for all of you people who have any size of list, any size of email list, we're going to talk about social here in just a minute. When was the last time that you emailed it? Pop that into chat. When was the last time that you emailed it? This is not any type of like, I'm calling you out on the carpet. This is just so you can ask yourself, like, am I actually doing this? So yesterday, last week, twice a month, scheduled for tomorrow, every month, last week, 2 weeks ago, 8 days ago. Excellent. And then we have some truth. A couple of years ago, never. You send once a month. Okay, going off script here. In the 2 to 3 months where you were leading up to your book launch, guys, and it doesn't necessarily take that long, okay? Doesn't take that long. But as you're getting closer to that launch, you need to move from whatever you're doing to weekly. Your people need to start hearing from you in advance of the launch. And you don't have to change your content, just do what you're doing. Because when you get into that launch and you're creating hunger and desire in your person to buy your book, to come to your virtual book launch party where they will buy your book, they need to get used to seeing you in your inbox. They need to get used to seeing you in their inbox so they're not like, who is this person? Those things that I am on once a month, if you miss me, you've missed me for 60 days. It's not 30, it's 60. So this is my little like drop in that was totally off book. Now I'm sure somebody's asking me, okay, but Kim, what about social? Like, what about my social media? It's not yours. And it can go away at the drop of a hat. So one of my mentors talks about how she had this giant Instagram following. And overnight, Instagram just shut down her account. She never was able to get it back, and she never could figure out why they shut it down. Not to mention, no matter how big we think the platform is, it belongs to somebody else. They can just go away overnight. And every time you think, oh, that's not really likely, then you start thinking about all of those platforms that don't exist anymore, whether you were on them or not, okay? Social media, when you post, who sees it is not in your control. You have no control over the algorithm, whether or not they even see it, let alone read it and take action on it. And then it's not always your buyers. My people love to follow me on social media because they like to see bits about my life. I live on a 157-acre ranch. I don't ranch, the neighbors run their cows, okay? But they love to see the stories of when the cow broke through the fence, or stories of my kids eating popsicles, or our ongoing battle against rattlesnakes. My people love to see that. And when I post the business stuff, it's crickets. But in my email list, they come right to me. They come right to me. So how to use that email list, a little bit on how to build it and a little bit on how to use it, is in the course, Best-Selling Book Launch, Launch Like a Boss. So I'm not going to tell you what to do, like do this and then I leave you high and dry. I'm just telling you, we get a lot into this in the course. Now I want to give you a total boss move. Total boss move. Allied ambassadors. And you're going, what is that? Breathe, we're going to get to there. Very, very few people can pull off a best-selling book launch with only their own reach. And no, I'm not going to tell you, oh, you could do it if you have an email list of X, because X doesn't matter. Very few people can do it with their own reach because the most important question is, why would you want to? Why would you want to do it all on your own when you can get help? So here's really the goal of the bestseller, not the goal of having a bestseller, but the goal of a bestseller, to get the book into the hands of the people who really need it. To get the book into the hands of the people who really need it. So when we're talking about nonfiction, that looks like, who do you want to help? 100% of my nonfiction authors say something along those lines. If my book could reach just one person, it would be successful. Okay, we're going to reach way more than one person, but who do you want to help? And if you're in fiction, have you seen this thing? One of the librarians on social puts it out there that they're like, yeah, nonfiction is teaching like the process, the how, the to, the science, etc. Whereas fiction is learning humanity through storytelling and feeling. So when you're writing if you've got my fiction authors out there, it's still the same question. Who do you want to reach with your book? And how do you want their life to change and be impacted? Laugh, cry, remember, be scared, fall in love. But that goal of the bestseller is also to honor all that you did to write it, who you became, your stories, your message, your craft of writing. And this is so valid in fiction and nonfiction because it's not about ego. It's about connection with your readers. So if you want to have more connection with your readers, put in the chat connection. Connection. I want more connection with the readers. Connection. So let me tell you a story of the book that I launched with somebody who had that giant list and why we still used allied ambassadors. And guys, just in case you're wondering, like I'm not scripted, but I got notes. So I'm not vamping, riffing. Like I got a plan here. So when I say we'll come back to something, we will come back. I have gone through my plan to make sure that I close any open loop that I open for you, okay? So let me tell you the story of one of my clients who did a book launch and she had a giant list and we used allies ambassadors and why. So this was Dr. Venus, the Black woman millionaire mentor. And I know that since this time, Dr. V has gone on to do other things. But right now, in this moment of time when we're talking about her book launch, she had a list of Black women who were interested in money. And we still used allied ambassadors to maximize her book launch, maximize her reach, maximize her message, and help her reach her goals. So your allied ambassadors, I know I haven't defined them yet. These are people who are going to promote your virtual book launch party, on your behalf to their people. They support your book's message or the goals that you have with it out there in the world. Maybe they have a list of people who read books like your book. And no matter what, they support you, who you are. Let me tell you who they are not. They're not your influencer. Okay, so you're like, oh, so-and-so talks about this on Instagram and I write about this. I'll just ask them. No, these are people that you have a connection with. And so when we went to Dr. Venus, we looked at who loved her, who could support her. And was it this whole like one-to-one match of these people who were her allied ambassadors had other lists of Black women who were interested in money? No, we had lists of other things. We supported Dr. Venus and emailed our lists to look for where was their crossover. Where was their crossover for people on our list who would fit what she was going to be talking about at her virtual book launch party? So I've given you the why of allied ambassadors. I've given you the why to maximize your reach, to borrow other people's audiences, to get your virtual book launch party, that idea out in front of other people. And much like this virtual training, that virtual book launch party has a mechanism to collect their name and email. Okay, remember that because we're going to talk about that in a minute. So the how of how to find your allied ambassadors, how to contact them and explain what you're asking for and what you want them to do, and then actually what to send them, the intro email, what they're going to post, what they're going to email. All of that is detailed in the course, Best-Selling Book Launch. I like to make it real clear versus what you're getting versus what is in that bigger course. Because, we have limited time today and it's getting toasty. So I want to just make that determination clear. But I'm going to tell you a bigger, deeper why for why you want allied ambassadors to promote that virtual book launch party. You're collecting their people onto your email list. And so your virtual book launch party instantaneously builds your email list. So when I tell you that you can do this with a small email list, authors, this is how. You need to have one of your own. You need to be using it. You need to be familiar with all of that. But allied ambassadors allow you to maximize who you get to invite to your virtual launch party. Now, this is so cool to me. Like, I love the idea of creating support for other authors. I love the idea of creating community around a book and around a book launch. And I love the lift as you climb feeling. One of my mentors, Lisa Sasevich, used to have that on a big banner at all of her live events, lift as you climb. And I love that. So if you're following along, this was just bullet number 1, how you can do this without having a giant list. Now, I'm sure that you're wondering, okay, well, what happened with Dr. Venus? Like, she had her big list. She had all these allied ambassadors. Yes, runaway bestseller, multiple categories, giant success. And then the question always that people ask me is, well, could she have done it without the allied ambassadors? Why are we even asking that question? First off, nobody has a rear view mirror with a crystal ball. So we don't know. But why would you do it alone when you can do it together? Why would you do it alone if you can do it together? So her book, Dr. Venus, it changed the lives of her people. The people who read it, the people who passed it around, those Black women that had their hands on what they needed most. And I had to ask myself, was this a fluke? Like all of these successes, was it a fluke? Could I replicate this? Could I do it again? So I went to an author who had almost everything the opposite of Dr. Venus. Dr. Venus's book had been out for 3 days. Holly's book had been out for 2 years. Dr. Venus had a list in the thousands. Holly had a list of under 150. So the first question that I had to ask myself was, if Dr. Venus was a celebrity in some spaces, she definitely was, would I be able to help Holly recruit allied ambassadors who were not celebrities? Yes, we were still able to find people who loved her work in the world, and were willing to support. Everything from that point forward was the same. So smaller list, allied ambassadors, same style of launch, older book. And it still worked. Still was able to create a bestseller, not on a new release. And now I'm going, whoa, I think I've got something. So did a whole bunch of book launches. Now fast forward, still sticking with Holly. Let's fast forward. She finally had completed her memoir, and she wanted to have a best-selling book launch. She had been working on this book for over 10 years, and Holly wanted to do it her way. Now, I don't really think this was like her way. I think it was like, I think I saw so-and-so have a book launch and they kind of did it like this. So I'm just going to watch from the outside and copy what I see. And it wasn't working. It was not working. And just so we're really clear, nothing about my proven book launch system works off of a sales swap group. There are folks who teach this, where there's just a big group of authors, and the way you get to bestseller is everybody agrees when you launch your book, everybody else buys it. No, I'm all about an authentic bestseller. And there's no like, oh, in order to do this, you have to have a backside bundle of freebies thing where everybody who buys the book during the launch gets like all these weird free gifts. No, we don't do that either. So Holly calls me in tears. Her launch is not going well. She is in tears. All of this action that she is trying to do, it's not working. And it wasn't even about book sales yet. It was like it just wasn't working. And she's not crying because she's frustrated over the launch. That's what she thought she was crying about. But what she was really crying about was she had worked over 10 years on this book, on her memoir. She wanted the success, not for the ego, because she was already a best-selling author, but to help the women that her memoir was supposed to help. And from the really practical, Amazon gives priority to books that sell. So the more you can sell during a launch, the more priority it will give, the more your book gets into the hands of the people who need it most. And do you see the start of that snowball? So let me tell you where Holly's book launch for her memoir was pure magic. Pure magic. So type into the chat magic because you are going to want to know this one. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now I'm using book launch and virtual book launch party interchangeably, but we're talking about that 60 to 90 minute virtual book launch party. Okay. I kind of think of it this way. The launch is all the activities that come up to the party and after the party. Like the whole container is a launch, but the destination is that virtual book launch party. Okay. So here are two big things that she did during her party. Number one, she was like, hello, I'm Holly. Buy my book. From the get-go. Hello and buy the book. Ask for sales early. And this is key. Now I dissect the how to do this so it feels authentic, so you can get over any type of fears of asking people for the sale. I dissect all of that in the course. But by asking for that sale, she's acknowledging why people are there to help her create a bestseller. And the second piece of magic, write this down. When she said, hey, buy my book, here's what I want you to do. She said, go buy one book for you and use your Amazon benefits to send a second book directly to your friend. Buy one book for you and use your Amazon benefits to send a second book directly to a friend. Let me tell you the why on that one. By the way, there's this whole philosophy on how to train for courses where you like the free training to get people enrolling, which is say you tell them all the hows, or you tell them all the whys, but not the hows. Yeah, yeah, dude, I don't do that, okay? Like if I'm gonna give you a nugget, let me tell you the whole nugget. Let me tell you what I'm not gonna tell you to, okay? Let's just keep it real simple. Here's why you wanna tell your people, buy one for you and use your Amazon benefits, especially if they've got Prime, to send a book to a friend. Because that, my authors, counts as 2 sales. If you buy 2 copies of the book, Amazon calls that 1 sale. Ridiculous, I know. You get paid for both. But if your people buy one for themselves and use their address book that's already in their Amazon and they send a second copy to their mom, their aunt, their sister, whoever, that's 2 sales. That is 2 sales. That was bullet number 5. So right now I want you to pop into chat, have them buy 2 in separate orders. Buy 2, but remember it has to be in separate orders. So I've danced around it. I'm going, yes, have them buy 2 different orders. Have them buy 2 in different orders, 2 sales. to sales. That was bullet number 5, how to maximize that sales and climb those sales ranks. And it's such a weird thing to say because we think of like climbing the charts, but the numbers get littler. And somehow or another, the music industry makes this make sense. But when I talk about it in books, like it twists in my brain. Okay. Let me give you my whole proven process for best-selling book launch. Okay. Step number 1, you need to become besties with your launch calendar. So not trying to do this too fast. I have done ridiculously fast launches and they're hard, they don't always work, and they're painful. And not spending eons. Okay, you don't need to be spending 6 months on this process. I typically look at least 6 weeks to plan your best-selling book launch and then have that virtual book launch party. At least 6 weeks, 2 to 3 months, and you're okay. You don't need 6 months, you don't need a year, okay? So in the course, we also have action items for a tracker for what to do when, where it's like you pop in the date and it back figures everything and you go, oh, I'm going to be on vacation there. Let me adjust my dates. Because if you're like me, my big calendar is hanging up here on the wall and I'm going, shoot, what were they doing? Let me give you a tracker to like pop things in and checklists for what has to happen when. Now, step number 2, okay? Author tricks for writing marketing copy. Let me be really frank with you. Having a launch, any type of launch, you need to create launch assets. And one of those assets is writing the stuff. Thankfully, I am addressing a room full of authors. Y'all aren't afraid of writing. And you might be a little nervous about the marketing bit of writing. I am a beast mode marketer. So in the course, I put in my beast mode marketing brain. So you get to kind of like figure this out. Checklists of all the types of copy that you need and the other assets that you need. So when you signed up for this call, there were graphics, right? And if you're like me, it is like deer in the headlights graphics. So what I have done for you specifically for your book launch is Canva templates, where you swap out my details and you put in your details and you're good enough. And because I don't believe in paying for Canva, they're on the free plan. All right. How to write all this copy so it lands. So it's not just you're writing it, but how to turn on that marketing. And a few list build ideas before the launch. A few list building ideas before the launch and how to kind of start using your list. Now, step number 3, we've talked about this, recruiting your allied ambassadors. We covered why, but the course goes over who, how, and what to have them do. And I want to drop a big aha on you right here. No ad spend. Nothing that I'm talking about is going to require you to buy ads of any way, shape, or form. Not Facebook, not Google, not Amazon. No ads. Now, I said virtual book launch party, and there's got to be somebody out there who's freaking out about tech. So step 4 is taming the launch tech. You're not releasing your book like a whisper. You are going to have a party. It's not just lightly putting that out there. It's a party. So we're going to tell you what tech you need and what you don't, how to do this even on a budget. Guys, you don't need a whole heap of tech. And I know that there's people who just panic about that. So tech is actually pretty much the easiest thing. It's the easiest thing. And then step 5 is throwing the virtual launch party. Throwing the virtual book launch party. Cynthia, I have people pop into chat as I go, so wait for it. It'll all make sense when you watch the replay. She's like 2 separate orders. Watch the replay. Start from now and then come with me. So when we throw that virtual book launch party, you're going to use my do, nah, do system. I don't use acronyms, but sometimes I kind of like naming stuff. So here's this virtual book launch party. Step 5, throwing this. I tell you what to say, what you have to do. I tell you where you do you. You fill it in, you do you. And then I tell you the one thing that will kill your launch if you do it at the party. So do, you do you, not do. And we talk about what to say and when to say it, and how not to seem stiff, how to still seem you, so you don't seem like me, how to still seem like you, and how to make all of this at the virtual book launch party come together so it feels like a party for you and your people for that 60 to 90 minutes. And one of the things that you do is you ask for them to buy the book. Now, to prove to you that asking for a full price book sale, because we're going to talk about pricing here in just a minute, is not slimy, I'm asking you to enroll, and there's still more to come, by the way, guys, in best-selling book launch like a boss. It is $497. Nobody spontaneously combusted. Nobody spontaneously combusted. And I will go ahead and pop the link into chat so you actually have it at your fingertips. There is also a payment plan. But see, that is clarity, not slime. So asking people to buy is clarity, not slime. Oh, meeting group chat helps if I push all the buttons, okay? By the way, this is the real price. I don't do that thing where it's like, it should be this, and you, but oh my goodness. But I will say this, like, I'm not gonna, it's not $8,000, it's not 7,000. Oh, geez. I can't even say that stuff with a straight face. But I will say this, that my done for you launches, where I am doing all the stuff and they do their party, those start at $7,500. So $497, it's a good deal. Now, I want to reiterate a couple of things about your bestseller in general. Number one, it is not free and calling it a bestseller. I was at a big event one time, like 400-person people in this event. And the host of the event had just put together an anthology, a compilation book, her and a bunch of other authors. And they were having a best-selling launch, and she kept giving updates. Go to Amazon, get this book. And then she dropped it, that it was the free Kindle version. And I went, oh my gosh, you guys don't have a bestseller? It's right there in the title, sell, bestseller. If no money exchanges hands, you cannot by definition have a bestseller. And I'm pointing that out because that's nothing about what I teach. Lydia says that's happening so much, drives me nuts. Yeah. You have a book that is getting downloads, and that can be awesome, but that ain't a bestseller. And nothing that I teach is a 99-cent Kindle clutter promotion. I call it Kindle clutter because people will buy it, but will they read it? Not usually, and then what's the point? Again, my system has no ads, no travel, no sending of free copies places. It works relatively low tech and relatively low budget. So now that I have danced around that 99-cent thing, we're going to come to the pricing piece. Remember how I said I was going to talk to you about pricing? Let's talk about it. Here's what I've learned when I was doing the Dr. Venus launch. This was my very first launch. And I was doing all the layout. And I wasn't even hired at first to do the launch and the marketing copy, but we started talking and she's like, you are a beast mode marketer. I don't want my very expensive copywriting team. I want you. Dr. Venus is a force of nature, and she was a little bit scary. So I said, okay. And so we're looking at these launches. I've never done one of these before. And I said, well, Do you want to release your Kindle version first? And she said, no, it is a workbook. I'm not even sure that a digital version in a Kindle would work. Okay. I want it to retail for $19.97. And I said, okay, well, do you want to drop it to, like just above your cost? Because she's published through Amazon. Like, do you want to drop it for the launch? And she goes, no, full price. Full price, Kim. Not a 99-cent ebook. Now, here's the problem with that 99-cent strategy. This is the problem with this 99-cent strategy. The book isn't valued. It doesn't value your work. It doesn't value what the readers can get from the transformation or the enjoyment of reading the book. And yes, people will buy it at $1 because they want to support you, but they won't read it. And I don't know about you, but I didn't write my books to not have them be read. They are not an exercise in, oh, look, I wrote a book. And the other thing with that 99 cents is people can only buy one. You can only buy one. So we've already talked about why they should buy two. So they can't share it with a friend. So I teach authentic, full price sales for a bestseller status that you can be proud of. Put proud in chat. Put proud in chat. Now, I know a bunch of you already have your books out there. So if your book is out there as a Kindle or as a Kindle plus paperback, we cover that in the course. In Best-Selling Book Launch, Launch Like a Boss, we cover what to do in the course because you do things a little bit differently in a little bit of orders for your virtual book launch. Okay? And so what I do when I have that like in the training stuff, it'll say like, if this, then, so you're not getting lost. Okay. So you can really find that. So that was bullet number 4. That was bullet number 4, the pricing that we don't do. Don't undercut the market, have dignity. Don't undercut your reader. Don't undercut your reader. Guys, then I fall into that same thing. Like I have had times where it's like, okay, really, really want to support my friend. I don't support a 99-cent Kindle ebook, but I want to support my friend. Okay, fine, I'll buy it, but I ain't gonna read it. That's horrible on all sides. On all sides. I had a story. Can you step it? So that was number 4. I'm looking because this is a really good story and I don't remember if it goes here or if it does not. Okay, skip back to yellow. Turn the page too quick. Okay, here we go. So this idea of buy and read, because that's what we want. So guys, I just did this. So not only have I been doing this for years and years and years and years with really high ticket clients, I just did it on my own. July 2nd for my book, The Art of Folding Paper, a collection of short stories. A collection of short stories. So fiction, collection of short stories. I know that my fiction authors are going, ouch, ouch, like we are lining stuff up on this might be harder to get sales. Yes, I got to a #1 Amazon bestseller. Yes, I cracked 1 top 20 and 1 top 50, which I was thrilled with because the top 50 was a really big category. But here's what's more exciting to me. A friend, so like lots of my friends bought it, but this specific friend bought it not just to support me and my launch. She read it. And more importantly than that, she has sent me 2 different messages. We use a messaging app called Marco Polo. It's like texting, but with videos. So she has sent me 2 different messages. I'm reading your book. I wanted to linger after the first story, so I put it down. She tells me, your book, wow, I really was thinking about this one, and I like it how these stories stuck with me afterwards. She read it. It made the impact that I wanted it to make. So that was our bullet number 5. I just want a couple of things I want to clarify. This course isn't I need 6 months to go through it. In fact, I'm going to make you a can't resist offer about that. It is designed to get in motion, get your bestseller. Now remember, your book does not need to be published. Sometimes we like to start with that end in mind before it's published so you don't have any wasted motion on your launch. When do you start to promote your launch if you're not published yet? How far between published and launch do you need? Do you need any pre-reviews? We cover all of this, okay? This course also works, best-selling book launch like a boss, works if your book has been out there for months or years. So in chat, if your book has been out there, tell me how long it has been out there for. How long has it been out there? Because Holly's book was out for 2 years, and this is perfect if you have had lackluster sales. So absolutely, this works for fiction. This works for fiction. I had some of so Nicole's has been out there 2 years. First novel came out in 2019. 1 book for 1 year, 1 book for 6 months. I'll be there in a few. Thank you. I'm teaching my class right now, okay? My 7-year-old just showed up at my door with lunch for me. He's so cool. 3 weeks. So people have known it's been coming, haven't launched, afraid of losing momentum. Jax, we got to get out there. 5 years, good. Okay. This does work for fiction. I know a lot of you are here with fiction, so let me just flat out say that. And when you have multiple books, whether you're fiction or not, and you've got lots of other books that you've written, or even just a few, oftentimes your folks will go and buy other of your titles. Maybe not during the launch, but maybe they'll read your stuff and be like, well, what else do they have? Let me go read more. So a couple of questions that I always get, and we're going to lead off with the big one. Do I guarantee a bestseller? And the answer is no. So a couple of stories. One of my clients had a launch date at the beginning of COVID. Now, here we are 5 some years later, and we're like, oh yeah. No. Imagine March 2020. By the way, I was pregnant and throwing up like crazy. Just as an aside. Okay, March 2020, and lockdown had been announced 2 weeks prior. And the whole world was terrified. And I came to her and I said, do you want to move this? And she said, no, I think people need something really powerful and positive. So we had the launch, went to bestseller, multiple categories. Now, one of the things that we talk about in the course is this definition of bestseller. Definition of bestseller, because that may or may not be number 1 to you. Because here's the next client story. Set the launch date. We're 3 days before the launch, and there is a celebrity death that takes over the news. Takes over the news. And this celebrity that died had a memoir, somebody else had written like a tell-all biography, and there was a 3rd book that was somehow related to this person. And my client was in the same category. He took 1, 2, and 3. My client was number 4. The celebrity took 1, 2, and 3. My client was 4. Were we still absolutely thrilled Of course, because her book got into the hands of the people who needed it the most. Frankly, that was the best we ever could have done. And it worked. And it worked. So when you enroll in Best-Selling Book Launch, Launch Like a Boss, because I don't know if I said this, I think I did, but we're gonna do it again. Your pay in full is a single payment of $497, and I have a payment plan, 5 payments of $120. I have a dual monitor. That's what I'm looking at. I changed something up this morning, y'all. I changed something up this morning. This is not a buy it and it'll show up for you class. Not anymore. That was the original plan. And I decided I didn't want to do that. I decided that what I want to do, proven system, brand new course. I'm going to teach it live. Like, I'm going to teach it live. You guys are going to come. I'm going to teach. We're going to do questions. Then it will be packed up. But we're going to do it live. So I want to talk about bonuses. So it said you're going to have this Q&A call. Nope, you're going to get me live. We're going to do Q&A as we go. Invite to my students only Facebook group. Lifetime, you can be there as long as you want. Accountability support, questions, ongoing. One of the bonuses is your top 10 self-publishing questions answered. Let's get ahead of some of those questions. Another bonus, a video. I did not record it. I just did the interview because I am not a photographer. How to take your author headshots. Because if you do not have them yet, you will need them. And no, you can't do a selfie. Okay? I also have, and I've changed this up so much, my notes are a little bit crummy, a ticket to my virtual live event that will be happening in early October of this year with any bonuses or goodie boxes. When you enroll at either the payment plan or the full price before midnight Pacific on Sunday, July 27th, yes, that is Sunday, July 27th, I will promote your virtual book launch party to my list of 5,000 plus people. So no, even if it's not a one-to-one match between my people and your people who'd want to read your book, I can guarantee I got some people on my list who want your book. Your book does not have to be published. So everybody panics when I say live and they're like, oh my gosh, what if I can't make it? Recorded. You'll get instant access to this full, like the full length recordings. Then you will get lifetime access to the course after I chop it into like bite-sized bits. So if you're like, oh, I just need this bit, you can just watch that bit. Okay? And the live calls start August 13th. The live calls start August 13th because your early bird bonus expires July 27th. Cart closes July 31st. You have some pre-work before we get started on August 13th. Okay? And I kind of look at this, where's the happy medium between let's get in and get this moving versus now you're just stressing me out because it's just too much to do. So we balance that medium. Why should you have a book launch to become a bestseller? Let's talk about the practical. Amazon favors books that sell. I've said that before. Amazon favors books that sell, and you want to help people. But also, you put so much you into your book. You put so much you into your book that you deserve the party. And it's fun. It's fun. It's not hard. Even if you're camera shy or tech scared, it is so much fun. You get to connect with your friends and your family and your readers and your future readers. You get to celebrate the book. You get to honor your journey as an author. So some of you may know, and some of you really might not know, that I actually I wrote all of these stories 20 plus years ago. And they sat on my hard drive. They sat on my hard drive. And this year I decided that enough was enough. 42-year-old Kim wanted to honor 22-year-old Kim and get those stories out there. And I thought, well, maybe I just don't do the virtual book launch party. Because I didn't for my last few books. I was like, no, I'm going to do that. I want to honor who I was. I want to let that skinny little scared author know how this all turns out so well 20 years later. So I want you to enroll in the course. I want you to enroll in the course. This course does not cover the ins and outs of publishing. Does not cover the ins and outs of publishing. It's book launch. So go to bestsellingbook.launch.com because I can't wait to welcome you into the class. So right now, I want you to go to bestsellingbook.launch.com and enroll. And enroll. You've got either your one-time or your payment plan. Either one is fine. And I can do any form of credit card or PayPal. I believe in you and your book. And it really doesn't matter if it was just published, if you're still working on it, or if it's been out for a while. It works if it's fiction or nonfiction with zero ad spend. With zero ad spend. So I think I'm saying as we language solutions, this is how to launch your book. You are looking for how to publish your book. So I have something that might help you. Email me, respond to any of the emails that I've ever sent you, and it comes straight to me. And I'll see what I can do for you this afternoon. And I'm melting a little bit. So, and if you want to, when we do our virtual book launch parties, what we tell our participants, look out, Kim's going off script again. When they get their book, we say, got mine. So if you want to, in the chat, you can say, I'm in. I'm in. If you're enrolling in the course and getting all of these bonuses with my live coaching and Q&A and lifetime access, because and it's not going to be like, oh, look, I have to go through this entire hour. No, I break it up. We make it worthwhile. And Holly says, I want to honor the lessons I have learned through having a guide dog that ended up with special needs and all the great things God taught me through all of that. Absolutely. Absolutely. And there are so many people who need to see themselves in your journey to also see the things that God has taught them and continues to work in our lives. So yeah, we always have a story worth telling. Lydia, absolutely. So right now, go to bestsellingbook.launch.com and enroll. I would love to see you in the course.